Good day, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. OpenAI, also known as ChatGPT, just launched a browser to take on Google and Chrome and change how we search for forever. This is going to be a small demonstration I'm going to give you guys of the power of ChatGPT and some of the thoughts that I have behind it and how they could possibly compete with Google, because I don't believe that Microsoft Bing or Microsoft Edge or even Copilot is close to ChatGPT. Now, they took 102 million in jewels from the Louvre and left lawmakers very furious about their heist. Trump building a 250 million ballroom inside the White House. North Carolina lawmakers push redistricting as protesters flood the Capitol because they're basically saying this is new age gerrymandering. Trump nominee for a top watchdog role dropped after tech surface because, again, things that surround both administration has to deal in some ill will sex trafficking or just the lewd things that are occurring within a lot of these presidential administration, whether it be Democratic and or Republican. Powerful projects are moving in silence, but the influence behind them is very, very loud. I'm gonna give you some very interesting updates today, so stay tuned. OpenAI has launched its own web browser, Atlas, that draws its AI chat box into the heart of how we surf the internet, directly challenging Google Chrome and redefining search. And the reason why I think this is going to be competition for Google, I'm just going to give you guys a small demonstration. Even though I have an Android phone, I have a Samsung that the software is Android. Now, I'm not competing against Apple. I believe Apple's just as good as Android. Just have different things that they're really good at. But let me show you guys something very quickly here. This is a small demonstration. So I typed in on Google, can bears dance? And they kind of give you some mundane, very brief. Sometimes they get into more context. And you can ask, people also ask, they have it laid out very well. Then across the top here, you can go to images, you can go to videos, you can go to shorts, forums, shopping, anything that's dealing with bears is going to pop up for you, okay? But what a lot of people have been missing is the AI mode, where it kind of gives you more intuitive information and contextualizing even better. It kind of dials down. If you see here, it states that wild bears do not dance, but they exhibit dancing behaviors for specific purposes, such as communication and shedding fur. Bears forced to dance as a form of street entertainment are victims of animal abuse. So it goes into all of that, correct? The one thing I'm saying by here is that you can build upon this. The only way that I believe that Atlas is going to top or even compete with Google, and Google probably need to do this first and foremost, is to embed Sora. So Sora is this filmmaking AI tool that ChatGPT, OpenAI have created and come up with, and people are using all over the internet because it's so darn realistic. And the only difference that you can tell if it's AI or not is that there is a Sora, S-O-R-A watermark that's inside of that. Now, there are some websites that you can actually delete the Sora watermark. So again, it's going to be a lot of propaganda through videos that people don't know if it's real or not real. There's been this video that has been going along the internet of this child riding an alligator and the parents chasing after it. Of course, it was made by AI, no less. But that's how realistic AI is getting. And the only way that Google can continue to push us forward, because Google has embedded Gemini inside of Chrome, as I'm just showing you right here with the AI mode. This is all coming from Chrome. You say, you can type in, show me pictures of a dancing bear. Let's do it right here, right now. Let's see what it says here. Google is going to have to topple this. Here are some images of wild bears and parts that have been describing as dancing. Because I said, show me pictures. Now, if I would have said something like, create me a picture, it probably went into more detail and asked for some prompts to create that bear. Here's one thing that Google, that I believe that a lot of people are not understanding about Google. Let me show you guys this very quickly. Google also has an AI filmmaking platform called Flow. Okay. Google needs to embed flow inside of its search engine, Chrome, just like they did with Gemini. Because when I look at other websites, give me 1 second here. When I look at Microsoft, because people are not really talking about Microsoft because they've never been really that good. Okay, I just want to, I'm gonna see if I can show you guys this. Give me 1 second here because it's on a different platform. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure I show you guys Chrome here. Here we go. So here's Chrome. Here's Microsoft Bing. And a lot of people get confused with Microsoft altogether because you have Microsoft Bing, then you have Microsoft Edge. And I also typed in, can bears dance? And it kind of give you a brief description. Yes, bears can dance, but it's often through training and manipulation rather than natural behavior. Now, at the top here, you see search with Copilot. That is the emblem or Copilot here, which is kind of wacky in my opinion, because listen to this. See this. I'm going to hit search. It's going to take a while. And automatically it goes right into Copilot and it kind of dials down and can give you images and videos here on the right side. Okay. Ask a follow-up question with Copilot. Now I'm going to go back because this is why Microsoft needs to really clean up if they're going to compete in this search engine battle. Because again, when Atlas come on, I'm pretty sure they're learning from ags.com, Yahoo, Excite, all those old sites. Because remember Ags Jeeves? That turned into ags.com, but they have no embedded software when it comes to AI. Now, can bears dance? You were thinking Copilot because Copilot is the AI model for Microsoft. Look at this. We're just going to sit here and wait. You see how fast that the search with Copilot was a lot better than this going to Copilot. And that can be very, very confusing for a lot of people. So right now I'm in Copilot. And again, I have to hit the enter button here, the up arrow, can bears dance, even though they have embedded Copilot into their search engine. And now they have another tab or part of the sub menu that you hit, verify that you're a human. Yep, I'm a human today. Okay. Just today. I'm not going to be a human tomorrow. I don't know why that's important. Because maybe they have chat bots and AI bots doing all sorts of things. But look how different it looks. Look how better the regular search with this was. So again, they're competing against some of the top, AI innovators. And Copilot came about just after, Gemini a little bit. So again, they're in an uphill battle. But I believe that Atlas will give Gemini a run for their money unless they start to embed a lot of their AI products, okay, inside of their search engine Chrome, because this is what they're battling. Now, of course, Google Chrome has been on top for a very long time. I just want to give you guys that quick demonstration because, again, most people go to Google. There's very few people like, when I search, I go to Microsoft Bing. Or I go to Brave, even though I like to use Brave because they have a lot of embedded VPN. If you also use Brave, at one point in time, I don't know if they still do it or not, used to give you small increments of Bitcoin. I actually made some money just using the Brave web browser for about 6 months or so, and I was accumulating very small increment fractions of Bitcoin. So you might want to even check that out. That's just a cool way to make a couple of extra dollars. But again, I believe that they need to embed flow inside of this. Now, they also have other ones where you can go to shopping, news, web, maps. Let me blow this up for you guys. Here we go. They have all of these other tabs that are not listed. And because of the room that I have up here, it's probably just better if they showcase this, because if somebody's looking for bears, right, and you have it in AI mode, you're like, man, I was just looking to shop for a bear. You can just go to shopping. But if it was up on that sub menu tab or sub menu there, they'll be much easier in order for you to do. They also have embedded Google Lens. Okay, you can upload a file, you can drag a file into Google Lens, and then it will search across the internet for you to purchase that particular thing, or you can buy it, so to speak. So again, Atlas has a lot to do, and I'm pretty sure in some different ways they're going to mimic Google. But they have to integrate all of this into the search engine, because maybe you're looking for pictures of bears because you want to make motion art, or you may want to do a small clip. But if it can be created right then and there from the embedded Gemini into Google Chrome, and you say, okay, go to Flow and create me a small video about bears. I know I spend a lot of time on this because I just think it's very interesting. But nonetheless, we're done with that, okay? Because I really want to talk about at the Louvre, because I alluded that because one of the diamonds, I believe that it was a Horentia diamond that was worth $60 million. Now they're saying that only 102 million in jewels were taken from the Louvre. I think it was much more than that. I'm not saying that they're lying, but I believe that they're really denigrating the amount that was actually taken, because one diamond was 60 million, and supposedly they took, diamonds, rubies, gems, gold, silver. They took all of these things. And you're saying only $102 million. Maybe they was in small increments. I don't know. But at the Louvre Museum in Paris, thieves struck very fast. We're talking about what, 3-4 minutes? 9 pieces of French crown jewels, an estimated 102 million in value, in brazen daylight break, and the museum director summoned by lawmakers to explain the collapse, because a lot of them were stating that we don't have a lot of security cameras in the Louvre to cover, a lot of the areas. Not the state that there was a lot of blind spots, but they said that the security measures were intact, but they wasn't significant enough to get information in order to track down these criminals. And by now, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, if these criminals were brave enough and courageous enough and master thieves, that those diamonds, those gems, those rubies, the gold, the silver had already been melted down. The diamonds have already been breaking down into really small increments so they can move it much easier and sell it to people on the black market, or they probably already have a buyer. Okay. So am I sad that now you can't go to the Louvre and look at the French, stolen diamonds that they took from all around the world, majority of African diamonds and gold and silver to make up their crown jewels? Absolutely not. It's not that I am championing on lawlessness and thievery and theft. I'm just stating that from history, French have been to a lot of these African countries and stole a lot of the gold and silver through plunder and chaos. And now it's been stolen because they want to display their crown jewels and how beautiful it is, even though it wasn't cultivated and mined in France. They got it from Africa mostly. And now it's been stolen. So stolen jewels were stolen. I don't see a crime here, but I don't want people just to go around the world and steal people's, precious artifacts. But a lot of the precious artifacts in Europe, whether it be African art and diamonds and gold and silvers and gems and rubies and jade and all these other, precious metals and minerals, I don't see a problem here. Now, I don't want anyone to be hurt. Again, I don't want to champion on, people thievery and theft and people getting hurt. But again, could this just be, 100, 200 karma that these diamonds and jewels have been stolen? And some people will defend and say, well, during a time where France was conquering and colonializing a lot of parts of Africa, these are just the spoils of war. And so these things happen all around the world, where European countries have colonized other countries from around the world and stole their precious metals and minerals. And that is, the triumph of their conquest, so to speak. So somebody else is now championing their conquest because they made it bad. Again, I don't want this to be misunderstood that I'm, again, encouraging people to commit crimes. That's not it. I'm just stating that stolen jewels were stolen. That's all I'm stating. Okay. Now, if you guys are not familiar what's going on in the White House right now, because construction has begun on the White House new 90,000 square foot ballroom, and is estimated at $250 million, which is part of Donald Trump's vision of reshaping the presidency ceremonial heart. Critics call it a symbol of extravagance and amid national concern. So we have all these things going on when it comes to the national debt of America. Do you know, guys, we're roughly at 30. Listen, we're about to hit $38 trillion in debt. But the president who, created the Department of Government Efficiency to cut a lot of fraud, waste, abuse is now creating a $250 million ballroom in the U.S. And a lot of you are going to be on board. This is it's been old. This is to renovate and to show the power and the glory and the prestige of America. $250 million. See, I'm not against the renovation. I'm not against the construction of it. I'm not. But $250 million. Ladies and gentlemen, that is larger than some small country's GDP. And we are roughly $38 trillion in debt, and we're still climbing. Okay, we're about to reach 30. The U.S. national debt is $37,967,494,000,000 and climbing, and it's climbing. And they also have a Doge clock in its goal because they haven't reached our goal yet. So again, we are spending money to save money. That makes no sense at all. The only way to save money is to stop spending money. $250 million, really? With our tax dollars. Now, again, some people are going to support the president at every wake and turn. I'm not supporting the president on this bull crap right here. Okay, again, 90,000 square foot ballroom, 90,000 square foot, $250 million. I want you guys to think about the size of your home. Some of you guys' home are 2,000 square feet, 3,000 square feet, 5,000 square feet, 10,000 square feet. Very large homes. Just think if they had no furniture and it was just 4 squares, and that would be the ballroom. Don't you believe that a 10,000 square foot ballroom would be enough? No, we're talking about 90,000 square foot ballroom at $250 million. Now, we know that there are no illegal immigrants that are constructing this, because if they were, it wouldn't be 250 million. It'd probably just be 50 million. I'm making a mockery of it only because I believe it's absurd. We have the government shutdown. We have a rising national debt ceiling that was about to hit $38 trillion, but thus we can find $250 million as Americans are being laid off, furloughed. But we have $250 million to build a ballroom for the White House. I'm not stating that the White House doesn't need a new ballroom. It doesn't need to be renovated or constructed, but 250, I believe if this number was 75 million, I wouldn't have nothing to say. But $250 million is, let's just be realistic about this, ladies and gentlemen. It's a whole hell of a lot of money. It really is. It really is. But again, they're trying to recreate Washington, D.C., let alone America, into this kind of neoclassical sort of construction. I digress because, again, I just wanted to point that out in case you guys wasn't following that. Now, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to a lot of the gerrymandering that's happening in North Carolina right now, because in North Carolina, the state house picked up Senate-approved congressional voting maps designed to give the GOP an extra seat. Hundreds of protesters flooded the Capitol demanding fairness, transparency, and democracy. What you guys are failing to understand, not all of you, some of you are failing to understand that if each and every state continues to gerrymander so Republicans continue to remain the majority, this is slowly becoming a one-party system, and America will have no balance. Because a lot of people are talking about conservatism. Ladies and gentlemen, America is a hybrid two-party system. America is a hybrid economy, meaning that we have some socialism and some capitalism. A lot of you that have been working 10, 20, 30, even 40 years, You are depending on your Social Security to suffice and sustain your current way of life. That is a social program. Social Security is a social program. And a lot of you would say, no, this is more of an investment because they've been taking money out of my check. And now I'm reaping the rewards of my investment. Okay, that's one way to look at it. But what if you only put in, like, take for instance, you put in $10,000, and because the market fluctuation, let's say you gain 5%, so $10,000 became $20,000. These are very arbitrary numbers. I'm not doing the math. So now, after your $20,000 run out, should you receive any other money? Absolutely not. That was the interest of the stock market fluctuation and the profit that you've made off of your $10,000. So again, your money stops. So what money you have coming in now? Absolutely nothing from the government. But we understand at the age of 65, the age of 66, some people can even get Social Security at 55 and 60, but they're paying you for the rest of your life until you lay it down at your last days. That is socialism at its best. When we look at programs like CHIP, TAF, EBT, all of these social programs that they have in state governments where they allow certain people to have Metro cards, using public transportation at a discounted rate, and some of them are even free. That is socialism. Capitalism is that you're going to pay for every single thing. Just like yesterday, we're talking about when I went to college, I had to pay for I had to pay to submit my application, an application fee. That's capitalism. You pay for everything. So don't tell me that you are all for conservatism and we live in a capitalist society where you are benefiting off of socialism. Do I believe that we need to have some parts of our government, some parts of state and federal entities to be socialized? Absolutely. This is what makes America great. It's because we have a balance in America. Everything is not conservative and everything is not liberal. I'm not getting into the liberal agenda that I do not agree with, like LGBTQ and transgender in schools and woke ideologies inside of books and classrooms. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the programs. I'm talking about the programs that help you, me, our children, our grandparents, our mothers, and our fathers to succeed, strive, and thrive in America. That is being slowly eradicated. And it seems as though that the only people who are going to live a very beneficial life in America are those in the high middle class up to the filthy rich. And again, just because you fall in line with MAGA or you fall in line with Republicans or conservatism doesn't mean that you have to fall in line with every single thing they're trying to do. Just understand there needs to be a balance in America. People don't really pay attention to independent candidates that run for office because they really want them to pick a side, and independents seem to be right in the middle. They take a little bit from Republicans. They take a little bit from Democrats. But let me tell you this. Some things you just not stand for, and understand that you can be a Republican, you can be MAGA, you can be conservative, but allowing certain seats in all these different states to lean far right, slowly but surely, you're going to see a lot of these socialized programs that a lot of your parents and your grandparents and even yourself have benefited from slowly be stripped away. But don't forget, we have enough money for a $250 million ballroom. I'm just saying. I'm not being petty. I'm just saying, okay? Now, a nominee for a key federal watchdog office under President Trump withdrew his candidacy after offensive text messages surfaced, including racial tweets and self-described Nazi streak remarks, triggering red GOP pushback. Again, America is a melting pot, but nonetheless, we have a lot of racism and discrimination because we're probably the bedrock of white supremacy in this nation, regardless if you believe it or not. And people that are in the Biden cabinet, the Obama cabinet, the Clinton cabinet, the George Bush cabinet, the Ronald Reagan cabinet, and the Trump cabinets have been racist. Not all of them. They've been bigots. They've been racist. They've been upholding the system of white supremacy. And let me tell you guys this, not all people who hold up the system of white supremacy and the ideology of white supremacy are white. A lot of them are Asian, a lot of them are white Hispanics, and some of them are even Black. We need to point these things out. But this guy right here, he withdrew because, again, those damn text messages get a lot of people in trouble because they become public. They be in group chats stating all these very racial, discriminatory things, and let's just let the cat out the bag. A lot of these racial slurs, a lot of these bigotry remarks are mostly against Jews and Black people. Now, I'm not taking up for the Jews, okay, of people being anti-Semitic, or I'm not taking up for that, but I'm definitely standing up for those who are anti-Black, and those should not be in office. They should not hold any high office because, again, these are the people with the ideology of white supremacy, and again, they're just going to strip away a lot of rights, okay, a lot of legislation, a lot of regulation that keeps equality for all people in America. Because this is, I mean, again, it's happening right now. And again, the most dangerous people are not people like him because they're very vocal. They're showcasing their racism and their bigotry on text, on video, in speech, and in deed. The most dangerous people in the system of white supremacy wear suits, number one, and number two, they never talk about race. Those are the most dangerous one. You know why? Because, you know, in the military, what you learn is that the pen is mightier than the sword when we're talking about politics. The pen is mightier than the sword. Yeah, it's easy to go up and punch a Black person in the face just because they're Black and you believe they're criminals and they shouldn't be in this country. You punch them in the face. The worst thing they could do is take a pen and write executive orders and legislations and put them into law that discriminate and make things harder for non-white people in America. That's the most powerful thing, the power of the pen. And that's why we have to be more educated on legislations and laws, because we have people like him who wear a suit but may not say nothing, but all the while in those high offices using the power of the pen to strip away rights, privileges, and regulations and laws that will hurt non-white people. And I know a lot of you already know this, but this is very important. So people like him don't scare me. Those who are very public don't scare me. It'd be the ones who never say anything about race, but do everything with the power of the pen. I know a lot of you guys understand exactly what I'm talking about. Now, Jimmy Kimmel, he's back in the news because now ABC are referring that Jimmy Kimmel Live into reruns with no episodes planned this week. So they're not done with Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel is still being silenced, and now they're just running, you know, rewinds. That's all they're doing. They have no idea what they're going to do with Jimmy Kimmel. Okay. They have no idea what they're going to do with Jimmy Kimmel. Okay. Now, here's another one I want to point out to you guys. I've been covering this for quite some time. Now, they dreamed of studying in the U.S. Trump's visa policy have forced them to look elsewhere. Who are we talking about? And I've talked about this extensively. We're talking about people from the country of India, because for decades, families in India have dedicated years and much of their finances toward a singular goal, getting their children a degree from a U.S. university. Despite the hefty cost, often bore in staggering loans, the risk was palatable because the reward was likely a career launch pad that no other country in the world could offer. As I told you, people from the country of India come to America, go to our schools, and they land jobs almost instantly after they graduate. And as I told you, most of them are in the tech field, they're in the healthcare field, they are in engineering fields, and some of them go to law. A lot of them are physicians and nurses, medical managers. They are all in these three main industries: tech, healthcare, and engineering. And I want to make sure I'm very clear and transparent with this. They are not taking American jobs. They're being given American jobs. There's been a partnership with India for quite some time, and Trump is aimed to end it. And I stated that to a certain degree, I agree with this because it should encourage, it should change policy and educational curriculum to start educating American youth to get in these healthcare industries and these tech and engineering industries so Americans can start making a lot of these 125, 150, $250,000 a year jobs. Well, Americans just don't want to do these jobs because we're not being educated to do so. We're not being pushed to do so. Because listen, when you look at a lot of cultures and traditions of different people around the world, they tell their children, you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or a coder. They tell them what they're going to do, but not American families. You should do what just make you happy. Oh, you want to be a veterinarian? Okay. Are you going to make that a business? Are you going to be a veterinarian, maybe get 2 or 3 years of experience and start your own veterinarian clinic? Or you just want to be a veterinarian and work for somebody? No. You're going to start your own business. You see what I'm getting at, ladies and gentlemen? We're not pushing our kids into the markets where modernization and evolution is taking us. If you notice, everything is going AI. Everything has been tech for the last 20 years. So we need to start pushing our children inside of these fields. Now, if they want to be a veterinarian, then they need to learn a little bit about AI and computer hardware and software. So when they start their veterinarian business, there's parts of their business that could be ran by AI, like answering the phone possibly. Because with platforms like Flow from Gemini and Google, or Sora from ChatGPT, a lot of these things are possible. Now, there's companies already making commercials out of AI. They're totally eradicating people from the entire picture. But because we have consumers that buy tech like myself, even this mic, computers, laptops, etc., you're going to need people behind that until they start having robots like Mismo, because again, Elon Musk is making up Mismo, which is robotics that White Castle have invested to serve people food so they can get rid of the people who create and serve the food at White Castle. They're replacing with robots that is powered by AI. So again, I'm only giving you the information that I believe would be very profitable for yourself as well as your children. Let me carry on here, because they're stating here that they are in shock because Indian students fear Trump has ended the American dream. You know what's funny? The American dream and how powerful the American dream is. No one ever says, you know what, I'm going to live the European dream. I want to live the Indian dream. I want to live the Japanese dream. I want to live the South American dream. I want to live the African dream, the Australian dream. It's always the American dream because people can come here and jobs are given to them and they use the education in America because, again, they always say how all these other people from all these other countries are so more intelligent than natural born Americans, but yet they come to America, learn from American professors and teachers, and then succeed and thrive and strive in America. They get these high-paying salary jobs and or they create businesses in America, but they can't do it in their own country. So again, as I told you before, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but I do, again, agree with some of the tactics and strategies that President Trump is doing. I agree with a little bit of it because, again, I believe this is going to benefit Americans. Now, let me guys show you this very quickly. These are some of the things that people from India, Indian American business owners and executive, what they're doing here: information technology, healthcare, and engineering. When it comes to information technology, they're mostly in roles like software developers, engineers, and data scientists. Indian origin engineers make up a significant portion of the workforce in areas like Silicon Valley, also in Austin, Texas. Okay, because again, they've been moving a lot of the people out of Silicon Valley. Elon Musk headquarters, he's moved into Texas. Healthcare, many Indians work in healthcare with over 50,000 physicians practicing in the US, nurses, researchers, and medical and health service managers. Engineering, beyond IT. Indian Americans are well represented in various engineering fields, contributing to research and development. Business and management. A large number of Indian Americans are managerial and professional roles across various industries, significant force in the entrepreneurship, with many owning businesses, including a large number of hotels and startup techs. I'm not against what Indian Americans or people who originated in India are doing. I'm not. If another country afforded me these great opportunities like exchange program, incentive, and stipends to come and learn and go to school in America and then and then land a large tech job that's making $180,000, money that I will probably never ever see in my entire life in India, then of course I'm coming to America. Of course I'm coming to America. Because where they recruit out of high school from India, they recruit out of college of India, a lot of these tech brainiacs that come out of India, because that's all they've been doing since the age of 5 and 6. I remember telling you guys, my son and I, in our area, we went to the library and we saw about 5 Indian children, as well as 2, I believe they were either Chinese or Korean children. They were learning chess at the age of 5. They were learning chess at the age of 5. And there's some research to state that when you are teaching chess at a very young age, that it will actually help them to be great coders when I guess it's a building block, so to speak, that's rudimentary originally, but then as a building block, they can learn coding even a lot quicker just because of the strategies of chess. I don't know. I'm just giving you what the research states. But again, we need to be taking note of what a lot of these other cultures are doing, because they've been doing it a lot better than America, because we're all for, well, you have a dream of being a street sweeper. That's good, honey, long as that it makes you happy. Yeah, here's my thing. If you want to be a world-renowned artist, you want to do splash paintings, you want to use oil-based art, that's fine. But in this new day and age, remember NFTs, what are non-fungible tokens, NFTs, digital art, where did that go? It kind of came and went, but I'm pretty sure it still exists. But if you want to be an artist, that's perfectly fine. But you better take up this engineering job. You better take up this tech job. And just to let the cat out the bag, I'm going to be very, very realistic with you. My son wanted to drop some of his advanced classes. I said, absolutely not. My son told me, I said, son, you're going to be an electrical engineer. Well, Dad, I don't. I said, well, let me tell you something. You're going into AI. You're going into computer tech, hardware and software. You're going into robotics. You're going into mechanical engineering, space engineering. You're going into something that the industry is going to need and want for the next 20 or 30 years. So I told him to pick one, and he picked mechanical engineering. And right then and there, I started to cultivate what he wanted to do. Mark Roper is a large YouTuber who used to be a NASA scientist, and he has these little engineering packs that he can send to your child, and they construct it, and then they kind of learn the technology behind it. I'm not playing games, ladies and gentlemen. We have to prepare our children for the wave of technological advances, because all these other cultures, I take my hat off to Indians. I take my hat off to people that are from Nepal and Bangladesh and Japan and Korea and China, because they've been doing this for the past 3 decades. And American children are behind. It's because of our education system. It's because of our educational curriculum. And it's because of our parents. They didn't prepare us for the future. But now that you know what's exactly going on, you better prepare your children, or they're going to really be sweet sweeping, but it ain't going to be on the streets, because they're going to have robots doing that. It's just going to be at your house living with you.